Okay, back with you on the Bronx Buzz. What a treat to have Rena Valentine on the show. But right now, we're going to go to, as I mentioned, one of the best art of facilities of every sort in the Bronx. It's just an incredible structure over there in West Farms, and they do some great stuff. Let's say hello to curator Jordan Horton. Nice to see you again, Jordan.
Hi, Gary. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. And she brought along with her Edgar Santana. Nice to see you, Edgar.
Hi, Gary. Thanks for
And
having me.
Edgar is a photographer. So, Jordan, tell me about Ingenuity, Art and Entrepreneurship of the Bronx. This is the new show that's going on over there through April, at the beginning of April.
Sure. Well, I think all is in the name, and we're talking about the line between photography and making photography or a way of life, a way of living, and the ingenuity that it takes for that to happen. And so throughout the show, we have six photographers, born either from the Bronx or based in the Bronx, who are kind of inspired from their surroundings of looking at street life, looking at the people, places, and things that make the Bronx of what it is.
I got the names right here, so let's shout out to everybody. It is Stephanie Ayala, Michael Paul Brito, Lisa Dubois, Edgar Santana, who's here, Jose Tuteven, and Yomar Mesveda. Did I get that right? Velez, who are the artists. But tell me about this idea now. Ingenuity, I get when you're talking about photography, and other artwork. Ingenuity, I get, but talk about art and entrepreneurship in the
Sure.
Bronx. What is the connection there? And then, as a curator, how do you find material to, that defines that?
Yeah, so a part of our exhibition is also to offer up Brack's workspace, to give the artists in the show space to either take meetings, to set up photo shoots, or just to use that space to conduct business. And so we wanted to, have a gallery show and a think tank kind of parallel, sort of as like a temporary residency for the duration of the show.
Oh,
Yeah.
so that's interesting. So you're saying it's kind of an organic thing, and it kind of goes, it grows or changes over time. And did I understand that correctly?
Yes.
Well, that's interesting.
And along with that, how I found the artist, which kind of you know flows deeper into that ingenuity and entrepreneurship, is especially shout outs to the Bronx Art Council, in which they have a database stored of Bronx artists, in
Right.
which I found these six great photographers, as long as many other great artists who are working in the area. And so I wanted it to be kind of a mutual symbiotic, community based show.
Wow, fantastic. Edgar, let's bring you into the conversation a little bit about you and photography.
Yeah, so born and raised in the Bronx. I currently live in the Woodlawn section of the Bronx. I've been capturing Bronx images probably for the past 15 years. My handles on Instagram are Santana, as well as Cars of the Bronx. I capture vintage cars within the borough,
Wow.
and to date, I've captured close to 2,000 cars within the borough. And
That
again,
that
these are
is
all vintage cars.
And you do you do something with them, or it's just you enjoy it and that's what you do? I mean,
I've
sounds to me
always
like you do that. You could be part of a whole sales and talk about entrepreneurship,
I've
do the whole thing.
I've had numerous people reach out to me, asking me to be like a headhunter for them. if I
Wow,
if I come across any vintage car, like they
a
would,
certain
you know,
type.
yeah,
Wow,
yeah. So most of the
that is
cars that I
fascinating.
capture
Mhm.
are either from the 60s, 70s, or 80s. I don't go anything newer than that. But again, it's a beautiful thing to find a vintage car in the wild, parked along a street
In the
somewhere.
wild, well, the
Yeah,
Bronx
that's how
is
I
the
call it.
wild. Yeah, you can see
Yeah,
behind me. The Bronx
yeah,
is
yeah,
the
yeah.
wild.
Well,
Uh,
unfortunately, there's no more Orchard Beach car show, so that's why I
oh,
find them
that's
in the
right
wild.
too. Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
But let's just talk about photography.
Sure.
When did you get started? When was the first time you
I
had a
would say
camera in your hand and said, "I like this"?
yeah. I've always been into photography. I would say about 15 years ago, I just started, carrying around a small point and shoot camera, just capturing moments of family, my food, what I was eating, things like that, silly things. But
sounds
then
like you
once,
sounds like you would be the kind of guy who predated the cell phone, and you said, "Gee,
yeah,
if
yeah,
only we had
actually.
a cell phone, I could take pictures of my dinner and everywhere I'm
Yeah,
going to party."
silly things that people do
Yeah,
now.
right.
But once Instagram became an app that became available, I felt like it was an app and an option for me to actually share my photos.
Well, now that's
So
interesting.
once I started sharing my photos, it just kind of took off, and I got inspired by other people that I was following, and one of them being Toots, one of my friends that's in the show.
Oh, who's in the show? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I just read the name Toots.
yeah, and again, I was just inspired by other photographers, specifically in the Bronx, and it's just it's important for us to preserve the ever-changing landscape, and that's why I really focus on the borough, and so do a lot of other of my fellow photographers.
Your statement about that is exactly why my buddy Gail and Jordan over there at the Bronx River Art Center do what they do, because when you bring together, all of a sudden there's a mutual bit of inspiration. Jordan, these we have 3 photographs to show. These are all in the show at the Bronx River Art Center.
Yeah.
Edgar, are you ready?
I am.
Let's tune up the magic box and show everybody some of your work.
Thank you.
All right. I saw this photograph and I'm like, whoa. Who is this? Where is this? What is this?
So this was actually right in front of the Bronx Documentary Center. This was a gentleman that was outside on his bike, and he was, dressed in his biker gear. And I had asked him if I could take his photo. I did. I really didn't like the way the portrait came out, but he had great rings. So I said, you know what? Can I get a photo of your hands? And he posed, and that's the outcome.
Well, let's put that back up if you would. As far as a photograph, did you do anything scientific, or is it as scientific as just hold it up and get a kind of a good frame?
Absolutely nothing scientific. I don't edit my photos. This image was captured on 35 millimeter film. So nothing done scientific. I don't Photoshop any photos. It's just completely organic.
I was going to ask you about that. A lot of people like you have been doing photography since before we had digital photography. Do you love the new digital age? Because I know there are some photographers who say, I'd rather really play with it, and as opposed to having a device like this device that can just take pictures anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. Digital photography is fine because obviously it captures very images that maybe you take an image and you don't like it, you get to take it over again.
Right.
I've been capturing analog photography, solely 35 millimeter film, the last 4.5 years now.
Wow.
And it's
and then you still, I hate to say, then you go and pay and get it developed.
I do.
Wow,
It's an expensive hobby.
Respect.
Yeah, it's an expensive hobby. But it is something that I enjoy because it's a challenge. When you take the image, you don't know what you're going to get until it's actually developed. So I feel it makes you a better photographer.
Let's, Jordan, if you will, let's let him show us a couple more photos there.
Absolutely.
Oh, and this is not a picture of an antique car.
No, it is it's an image that's on Westchester Avenue off of Westchester Square. This image was taken last summer. It's a gentleman walking, and it was just great lighting, just the shadows, and of course his outfit. It looked almost like like he stepped out of an early '80s movie set. So he just happened to walk by, and again, this image is also captured on 35 millimeter film. And I just love the way it came out because of it's very Bronx. It's very Bronx.
Well, of course, with the train behind him and a man walking alone. You talked about the lighting. What's interesting to me about that lighting, a lot of times when you get somebody in a shadow and you get light behind it, you, without really playing with it, you can't get a good picture. But
correct.
Right. All right.
Yeah, it was just one of those days that just had great lighting, and
fantastic.
I got lucky.
And this is, by the way, for folks, this is only a sample of the many. Jordan, how many works are up there? Do you know?
That's, I would say, like around 40.
40. So we're just showing you a couple. All right, let's do one more. Speaking of antique cars.
So this is a car, yes.
It's
this
Chevy,
is a
Chevy, yeah.
It's a Chevy Impala. This actually was taken on Randall's Island about 2 years ago. This is a lowrider meet.
I don't know what that means, but you can see that it's a low rider, I guess.
Right. Low riders are popular in California. They have hydraulics. And this car in particular has hydraulics, meaning it goes up and down.
Do you know a lot about, I guess you would know a lot about cars.
I do. I mean, I've always been into cars since I was younger, matchbox cars and remote control cars. So I've kind of, really tend to love cars, and they're beautiful. They're, especially the older ones. They're really, they definitely don't make them like they used to.
I want to get back to Jordan, and I want to just promote this gallery. But looking at that car, it reminded me in my parking lot where I park my car. It's an outdoor lot. There's a guy who has this old Ford that he keeps in immaculate
Oh my God,
condition.
you got to give me the address.
Well, there you go. I'll talk to him first. But he, on the nastiest days, he's out there polishing, and the thing
Hmm.
is perfect looking. And when he revs it up, it's anyway. Jordan. So let's go. Let's get people out there. You had the opening already in February, but this goes till April 26th. Uh, Here's a description I want to read deliberately. In the vibrant tapestry of global culture, the Bronx emerges as a guiding light, offering invaluable cues and boundless inspiration to all seeking to weave their creativity and innovation narrative. So, right, that's what you think about every day.
Yeah, or at least it was very easy to think about during the show. Um, as there were six artists in the show, it was really interesting to parse out themes of similar things that they were all taking photos of, if, whether it be delis or hands or parades that are happening in the city. It's interesting to see the common interests and inspirations that serve
Yeah.
through all the artists and what really make the borough special.
And when you walk in, and if you're surrounded by 40 photographs of the Bronx of all different types, you start to get a feeling, oh, this is, it represents who we really are. I mean, that's the way I look at it. Certainly, people can see through Edwin's photographs. So when is it open? Now the Bronx River Art Center is in West Farms, and people can just stop in, right?
Yeah, you can stop right in. I would say 10:30 to 5, and the show's open till April 6th.
Till April 6th. And Edwin, for you, do you show in galleries at all, or it's
Um,
more just kind of
I have.
hobby?
No, I have. This is actually the second time I've showed at the BRAC. The first time was about 4 years ago. This summer, I was part of a group exhibition at the Bronx Documentary Center for the Everyday Bronx team.
Right.
So I've exhibited a few times. That's more my goal, to try and get my more
Get out
photos
there.
out there, and eventually a book. But that's very difficult to do.
And then when that book comes out, you say, "Hey, Gary, let me come on the Bronx Buzz and we'll talk
Absolutely.
about talk
Absolutely.
about
You'll
the
be
book."
number one on my list.
Numero uno. Yeah. Edwin, good luck.
Thank
Keep
you.
going. Stay in
I
touch.
appreciate it.
I know we will be in touch. And Jordan, do you have an idea what the next show is, or we got to get through this one first?
Yeah, we gotta get through this one,
All
but
right,
we'll
fair enough.
definitely keep you updated.
And when you get the new show, you'll say, "Hey, Gary, we want to come on the Bronx Buzz and shout." And that's what we want to do.
Absolutely.
Thank you both, because without the arts and without our culture, we ain't got nothing in this borough, and we have so much of it, and we appreciate what you do. Thank you so much, Bronx River
Absolutely.
Art Center. Okay, that, ladies and germs, I hate saying that, and I say it anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, that'll be the end of the Bronx Buzz for this evening. We thank Rena Valentine, who is just such a great person, and both Jordan and Edgar. And we'll see you next week. If the curtain don't fall and the creek don't rise, yes, we'll be back. Good night.